Hey, what's up everybody? It's Aaron here with Iron Therapy Training, and today I have Kimberly Becker here from Move Your Mountain Coaching. We're going to bring to the table today some mindset pieces, some stuff that we see going on, how to help people with their mindset, and showing up for ourselves. Is that right?
Yeah. So my name is Kimberly Becker. I'm with Move Your Mountain Coaching and Consulting. I am an executive and leadership coach and a leadership practitioner, a speaker, and an author. And my passion is to help people be the best them they can be through learning to be a good leader, not only of themselves, but of others, and then gaining momentum and having a greater impact in their own lives, their teams, their organizations, and ultimately the community.
That's so awesome. An author. I've seen that book you wrote too. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I've had that in the back of my mind one day, maybe writing a book or doing something like that.
There's a little bit of vulnerability that goes along with that.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't imagine the time.
Yeah.
So, well, we're going to kick this off. Let's go ahead and start talking about some mindset, some limiting beliefs, the negative mindset that we could get trapped in, and how that can actually be an automatic behavior that we actually do unconsciously thinking. And it just happens, and it can show up everywhere in life once you get stuck in the negative mindset.
Yeah.
So what have you kind of noticed with behaviors and negativity around?
So a lot of times what happens when I'm meeting with clients is they talk about how all these things are going really good in their life, but they have this one thing that they're either ignoring or they know it's not going so well, but if they just kind of push it aside, it's going to go away. And what I try to explain to them is we're not fragmented people, right? So we can only ignore that piece of our life for so long. And I use myself for an example that after I donated my kidney, I struggled with my weight, trying to figure out what health looked like after that. And I just ignored it until one day I realized that all the other aspects of my life were going really well, except this 30 pounds I had put on.
Oh, I gotcha. I see. Yeah. So I was going to ask you another question before we kick off a little bit further, but explain fragmented people. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, great question. I think so many times as humans, we show up differently for our family, our job, when we go to church or the community, and we can only do that for so long. And then pretty soon, whether it's stress or the environment or this thing that we've ignored, it starts showing up everywhere. And so what I love to do is work with individuals to figure out, how do I, first of all, take the moment to just acknowledge this thing that I've set aside, whether it's my health or my weight or my mental health, maybe a bad relationship, whatever that looks like. And how do I look at what's my part of the mess in that and realize you come to a point when you can feel good in all aspects of your life, even if you're still struggling a little bit. How do I show up as my authentic self?
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
I don't know about you, but sometimes that takes just pausing and seeing where we're showing up really well, and then where are we not showing up so well.
You know what I've really noticed the most about what you just said is when you do have that coach or leader or somebody there, you have an outside perspective from the stress. You're in this bubble working on the business or working on yourself or working in this position. And when you can't see clearly or think clearly from the stress, remember, stress messes up your cognitive thinking and your ability to actually look outside the bubble, you know? So when you do have that coach or mentor to look outside that bubble and look at it from a perspective from the outside in, that's where that leadership that she's talking about really kicks in and drives into gear there, where you can start making steps forward and make progress towards the goal that you're working on. And like she said, if it's in business or leadership at work, working out, health and fitness, this all kind of ties together, and it all leads down to the mindset of where you're at.
So something you said when you were talking was so many times, you're right, we're working in our business instead of on our business, or we're working at work in all the chaos and confusion instead of working on ourselves, right? And I always use the analogy that sometimes it's like being on the dance floor and your crowded dance floor and it's all butts and elbows, right? And you don't see beyond that. But if you can just pause and get off the dance floor and onto the balcony, you get to see where the gaps are. You get to see where there's open doors or opportunities, right?
Absolutely.
And so sometimes that's what a coach is really good at, is helping us just to pause and get up off of the dance floor onto the balcony and look at the big picture, because we get such tunnel vision.
Absolutely. So like talking about the negative mindset that we can get in when we have stressful situations that come up, these are what I like to call obstacles. These are obstacles that are usually on the journey that hold us back from doing whatever it is that we're trying to do. And then we can wrap our heads around into a negative mindset. So we'll be so focused on everything that's actually going wrong each day, or the stress in our life, or the obstacle that's holding us back. We'll be so focused on that, we won't make progress on the goal, and we'll actually just go home and sit in it.
Yeah.
In that negative mindset. So like a good coaching question that you'd want to ask yourself, or something that you would want to do, is you need to ask yourself, what's going right? How can I change this mindset? What's a positive thing going right in my life right now?
I love that, because a lot of times when I meet with clients, the first thing I ask them is, what are you celebrating? You know, what is going really well? And they seem shocked, right? Because as people, our normal reaction is to go towards the negative. And if it's not something big, we don't celebrate and get excited about the small things, and it's the small things that lead to the big things.
It is.
And if we stay so focused on the big things, sometimes, you know, we freeze. We never move forward because that seems like too much.
I really like that. See, and these talks are good too. Even for me and Kimberly, we both learn and we evolve, and we're trying to grow. Everybody can benefit from a little bit of wisdom, knowledge on how to do things better their life, better the way they're showing up, or better themselves in general.
Yeah, and I was thinking too, as you were talking, particularly about physical health, because that is something that I'm passionate about too. I find that I tell people I go to the gym for them, not for me, because otherwise I can show up as kind of an agitated, irritated person sometimes. So working out helps. Go ahead.
That's a good topic. Go ahead. I was just, yeah, you go with what you're going with.
All right. But what I found is things are real exciting at the beginning, right? And we hit the gym, whether it's January 1st or after Christmas because you put on weight or whatever, and we go gung-ho, but then it seems like we hit this plateau. And that's not just with our physical health, that's in anything, whether we're gaining momentum in our own personal life or our business or whatever. And then all of a sudden we plateau and we make the mistake of thinking we got this.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we look around and we realize we've slipped back.
Yep.
Because we quit either growing or challenging ourselves, or we just kind of become the status quo and we get comfortable. And I always say when you're comfortable, that's the most dangerous place to be.
Oh my gosh. So that's why I'm growing this beard out.
Oh.
So I'm trying to stay uncomfortable and do uncomfortable things, to see somebody different, or in the mirror, you know, looking at myself, doing little things that can disrupt the cycle of being in a repeated cycle of doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So that's the definition of insanity.
Yes.
Which Albert Einstein has said years and years ago. But basically that cycle is what I'm trying to break. So I'll do whatever it takes to keep changing and challenging my thought process and showing up to however I need to do or be to be the person that I need to be. So yeah, this is a really great talk.
I'm wondering how many of you, so I been working out at the gym for the last, I don't know, 4 years. And I always tell the newbies, okay, you're gonna go home, you'll feel great, but in the next 48 hours, right, you're gonna get up and get ready to go to the gym and your legs are gonna hurt like heck, or your arms are gonna feel like noodles. And they're always like, well, I'll come back after that wears off. Don't do that. Any part of your life, right? Show up and push through the uncertainty, the uncomfortableness, the hurt sometimes, because that's where real victory happens.
Yeah, so basically, I'm not sure if I'm picking this up right where you were at, but basically, is that saying, like, let's say you had a stressful day at work and your day was stressful, so you're going to go home, and instead of doing the opposite behavior of what's going to make me feel better with this stress, instead of doing the opposite behavior of that, we're going to go home and sit in it and self-isolate.
Oh yeah.
And then we get, so this, gosh, this just gets so deep, and there's so much that goes into this, but it gets into your neural pathways, and this is how it becomes an automatic behavior. And then you don't even have to consciously think about the negative things that you're doing. It just automatically is showing up for you. And everything in life around you, you're going to find is going to be negative. Yeah. When you change those neural pathways, you got to start focusing on the positive things. You got to start asking yourself what's going right, and challenging your thought process in that positive manner to start building repetition on the positive pathways in your brain so you can switch this focus.
Yeah.
It's I don't know, it's really deep. This goes all the way down to like confirmation bias and confirming. Like when you go home, if you have a stressful day and you go home and sit in it, you're confirming to your brain right then and there that this is how it's supposed to be and this is what I need to be doing.
Absolutely. That story that you tell yourself.
Yes.
And sometimes that story runs really deep, like clear back from childhood.
Yeah.
And so I was just having a Zoom call with a potential client before I came over here, and I told her, I said, what do you feel like your biggest barrier is? And she said, the story I tell myself. And I said, okay, well, partway through sessions, when I see you pause or your demeanor changes, I'm going to ask you, what's the story you're telling yourself? And we're going to start rewriting the story you're telling yourself.
I love that. I love that. That's like spot on, like
yeah,
100%. 100%.
So I'm wondering, the people who are listening, if they paused for a minute, what would be a story that they normally go back to, especially after a stressful day?
So yeah, you're challenging my thinking here right now too as we're talking. It's pretty cool.
Well, I will tell you, if I feel like I've met with a client and maybe it didn't go as well as maybe I was hoping, and I don't know, like they're not there to meet my expectations, right? They're there, I'm there to support them. But sometimes I walk away and it's easy for the story to be, oh, well, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
That you're in that position, or you call yourself a good coach? And so I have to catch those really quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the biggest thing for me is that the holidays are coming up, right? And this is a great time as the end of the year comes around for us really to reflect on what is it that has gone well in 2024? What is going well in our life?
There we go.
What behaviors, what thought processes do we want to take into 2025? And what do we want to work on the remainder of the year to break or leave in 2024? I really feel like 2025 is going to be a great year of opportunity. And so how are we showing up for ourselves? Because if we're not leading ourselves well, how can we show up well for anybody else? And so I just challenge you today to kind of think about, how am I showing up for myself? And what would I like to shift before the end of the year?
I love that. I love that. And the same goes with health and fitness too. Making a plan or trying to plan ahead and thinking of what you can change during this holiday season before the end of the year. Remember, like if we're having trouble with nutrition and things like that, we still need to work on it, even though it's a holiday. It's not an excuse to just let it slide by or just forget about it. Like she said at the beginning of the talk, just put it aside. We'll work on this later. The problem's just going to get bigger and bigger. We need to work on it now and start making progress towards those goals now, whether it's a holiday coming up or a weekend vacation, going somewhere, you know, family barbecue, sporting events. It's still a behavior that we need to change, lifestyle behavior that we need to change and keep working towards our goals.
Yeah.
I might have kind of lost a little bit there, but.
Well, I was just thinking, you said something really powerful, and that's make a plan, right?
Oh, yes.
When we have a plan in place, no matter whether it's a thought or maybe we know that we're going into a board meeting or a situation where there's somebody who triggers our behavior and our thoughts, right? So if we make a plan ahead of time, it empowers us to do better and to show up differently. And so somebody asked me today, because I just lost 27 pounds, what are you going to do for the holidays? And I said, I'm going to eat a half a piece of pie. I'm going to split it with my husband this time. So not just eliminating things from my life, but just being more aware.
That is awesome, because that's what you need to do. We need to still have these foods and these things to stay in a healthy relationship with food.
Yeah.
And just like she said, she has a plan to eat half a piece of pie, or even if she had a different plan to have a different treat, she's planning on still eating that and enjoying it and not feeling guilty about it. She's been working really hard. These are the times we should be able to enjoy the food, you know, and enjoy the treats and snacks. But it's changing that behavior from, you know, a stress eating behavior or an emotional eating behavior to actually just enjoying the food and in the moment, not making the whole party about the food.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I love that. And then the last thing I was thinking was, if we make mistakes, whether it's physical health or we say something that we didn't intend to say or whatever, not sitting in that, not allowing shame and guilt to take control, but to stand back up and give ourselves the affirmations. This was an incident, this was a day, this was a plate of food, but get back up.
Remember, when you make affirmations, it has to be something that's true and something in the present. So something that's true and something in the present. So if you're actively working out right now, I am getting healthier for my family and working out 3 days a week to feel better. So that's like a powerful affirmation. This is the behavior that you're already doing. You're in the present and you're actively working to get healthier, feel better. Or I'm actively working on building my business to support my family's financial situation in the future. So that would be a true statement and something actively that a person is working on.
Yeah, I have to say something about affirmations. So I used to think affirmations were hokey.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be honest.
I did too.
And I used to think, oh yeah, that's just ridiculous. And 6 months ago, or 9 months ago, somewhere in there, I started doing affirmations. It's changed my life.
It will.
It has changed my thinking process. It's something I do first thing when I get to my office, and I go real early before anybody gets there, and it has changed my life.
It will. It will. It'll change. Things will start happening that you never thought would ever happen in your life if you do affirmations. It's crazy. So thanks for watching this video, guys. We really appreciate you. Remember, we have Kimberly here with Move Your Mountain Coaching and Aaron Rainey here with Iron Therapy Training, and we'll see you guys soon.
Thank you.